Most people believe budgeting fails because they don't earn enough. That assumption feels obvious, logical, almost comforting. If money is tight, the problem must be income. If you earned more, everything would work itself out, right? But here's the uncomfortable mystery. Why do people earning $40,000 struggle, while others earning $140,000 are still living paycheck to paycheck? Why do lottery winners go broke? Why do professional athletes file for bankruptcy? Why do raises so often fail to fix financial stress? And here's the most unsettling question of all. Why do intelligent, disciplined, hard-working people avoid budgeting even when they know it could change their lives? Tonight, we're going to answer those questions, but not immediately. Because the truth about budgeting isn't just about spreadsheets or discipline. It's about history, systems, psychology, and a quiet chain reaction that almost no one notices until it breaks everything. By the end of this video, you won't just know how to create a monthly budget. You'll understand why most budgets fail, what successful budgets actually do differently, and how to build one step by step that survives real life. But to do that, we have to start somewhere unexpected. We have to go back to a time before budgeting existed at all. Part 1. Origins. Before budgets existed for most of human history, budgeting wasn't a skill. It was survival. In agrarian societies, income didn't arrive monthly. It arrived seasonally. Food storage, not money management, was the original budget. Grain silos, smokehouses, salted meat, these were early financial systems, disguised as survival tools. If you miscalculated, you didn't overspend. You starved. Then came cities. Then wages. Then money that arrived regularly, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. This was a revolutionary shift. For the first time, humans had to plan for a future that wasn't immediately visible, and most of them were terrible at it. Historical records from ancient Rome show laborers paid daily would spend nearly everything within hours often on food, alcohol, and entertainment. The same pattern appeared centuries later during the Industrial Revolution, when factory workers in 19th century England began receiving weekly wages. Something strange happened. Debt exploded. Not because people earned less, but because money arrived predictably. Predictability created illusion. People assumed future income would solve present problems. Sound familiar? This is the first cause in our chain. When income becomes predictable, discipline must replace survival instinct. And humans are bad at that. Part 2. The rise. Modern budgeting is born fast forward to the early 20th century. Households are changing. One income supports an entire family. Expenses are relatively fixed. Rent, food, utilities. Everything is tangible. This is when the first household budgets appear, not for individuals, but for governments and corporations. The word budget comes from the French budget, meaning small bag. It referred to the leather pouch officials carried containing financial plans. Budgets were about control. Governments used them to prevent collapse. Corporations used them to prevent waste. Eventually, the concept trickled down to households. In the 1950s, budgeting manuals exploded in popularity. They promised stability, order, predictability. But something else happened at the same time. Credit cards were introduced, and with them, a silent shift. Spending was no longer limited by money you had bought, by money you might have later. This is the second cause. Budgets were designed for cash systems. Credit broke the original rules, and no one updated the instructions. Part 3. The breaking point. Why budgets fail. Here's where most people's story begins. You decide to create a budget. You sit down. You open a spreadsheet or an app. You list your income. You list your expenses. And for a brief, hopeful moment, it feels like control. Then real life happens. a car repair, a medical bill, a birthday, an emotional purchase after a bad day. Suddenly the numbers don't work. You feel guilty. You feel like you failed. So you stop looking. This isn't a discipline problem. It's a design flaw. Traditional budgets assume three things that are almost never true. 1. Expenses are predictable. 2. Emotions don't affect spending. 3. Humans behave rationally. Every failed budget can be traced back to one of these assumptions. And when budgets fail, people don't blame the system. They blame themselves, which leads to avoidance, which leads to silence, which leads to financial drift. This is the breaking point. Part 4, the fallout. What happens without a budget? Let's zoom out. Without a budget, money decisions are reactive. Bills arrive, you pay them, stress hits, you spend, money runs low, you worry. This creates a feedback loop. Stress causes spending, spending causes stress, stress prevents planning, lack of planning increases stress over time. This loop compounds. According to modern financial studies, a majority of adults cannot cover a $1,000 emergency without debt. High earners are increasingly living paycheck to paycheck. Financial anxiety is now one of the leading causes of relationship conflict. This isn't accidental. This is what happens when a system designed for control is replaced by improvisation. And here's the part few people realize. Not budgeting is still a budget. It's just one you didn't choose. Part 5. Failed fixes. Why most advice doesn't work at this point. The internet steps in. Just cut out coffee. Use the 50/30ths. 20. Rule. Track every dollar. Stop buying things you don't need. These fixes sound logical. They rarely work. Why? Because they treat symptoms, not causes. Cutting expenses doesn't fix unpredictability. Rules don't account for emotions. Tracking without intention becomes surveillance, not control. Most budgeting advice fails because it ignores human behavior. And now, finally, we arrive at the turning point. Part 6. The reframe. What a budget actually is. A real budget is not a restriction. It's a decision-making system. It answers one question. What is this money supposed to do before it disappears? A successful budget does 3 things. 1. It absorbs shock. 2. It reduces decision fatigue. 3. It aligns spending with values. With that understanding, we can finally build one. Step. Part 7. STEP by step. How to create a monthly budget that works. Step 1. Define the time frame. Why monthly matters. Monthly budgeting aligns with pay cycles, rent, and utilities psychological reset points. You're not predicting the future. You're creating a container. 1 month. That's it. Step 2. Calculate true income, not hope income. Use net income only. Ignore the bonuses over time. And probably, certainty creates stability. Everything else is upside, not structure. Step 3. Identify non, NG, OT, IAB, LE, S, the survival floor. These are expenses that keep your life functioning. Housing, utilities, food, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments. This is not about optimization. This is about staying alive financially. Step 4. Create buffer categories. The secret most people miss: emergencies. They're inevitable. So you build a buffer for irregular expenses, a buffer for mistakes, a buffer for emotions. This is what prevents collapse. Step 5. Assign purpose. 2 remaining money savings isn't leftover money. It's intentional allocation. So is fun. So is rest. A budget without joy will fail. Step 6. Build a review system. Not perfection. You don't stick to a budget. You adjust Italiano weekly check-ins, monthly resets, zero shame. The goal is awareness, not control. Part 8. Modern Parallels. History repeating itself. Today's financial system mirrors the past. Predictable income, unpredictable expenses, easy credit, high emotional pressure. The difference. The scale. Mistakes compound faster. Debt lasts longer. Silence is more expensive. Budgets aren't outdated. They're misunderstood. Part 9. 3. Takeaways. Takeaway number 1. Budgeting is not about restriction, it's about pre-deciding. Takeaway number 2. Most budgets fail because they ignore human behavior. Takeaway number 3. A flexible system beats perfect discipline every time. That warning, open-ended thought. If you don't tell your money where to go, it will listen to every impulse, every ad, every bad day instead. The question isn't whether you'll have a budget. The question is whether you'll choose it. Call to action: natural, non-forced. If this video changed how you think about budgeting, consider subscribing for more long-form breakdowns like this. And if you want the next video where we build a real budget live, with real numbers and real problems, let me know in the comments. Because the system only works when you finally see it.